So in this video, I'm servicing a Rolex watch I bought over a year ago. Back then it wasn't working and needed a new mainspring, and today I'm going to be giving it a service. So when I pop off the case back, we can access the movement, and as you can see the movement is in very good condition. And a little look here on the back, we can see the hallmark for 9 karat gold. So this movement comes out through the front, so I need to remove these 2 movement screws as well as the stem and crown. Because it comes out through the front, I also need to pop open the front bezel and rest it back down without tightening it. This will just mean that when I remove the 2 movement screws, the movement won't just free fall. All screws removed, I can move the bezel aside and carefully extract the movement. Finger cots are now on, and I can go about refitting the stem and crown in order to adjust the hands so they can be removed. I place a small plastic sheet to help protect the dial and use a pair of hand removers to pry the hands up. Once the hands are removed, I loosen the 2 dial screws that can be located on the sides here. And once loosened, I can remove the dial. Retighten the dial screws, and then remove the hour wheel and cannon pinion. I then turn the watch over to the time side, and as you can see it's a pretty simple manual wind setup. I just need to access this click piece here, pull it back so it no longer engages with the ratchet, so I can remove the power from the barrel. Once the power is removed, I go about removing the ratchet wheel and crown wheel. Before then taking off the barrel bridge and then moving on to the train. The train consists of these 4 wheels. With the train out, I can remove the balance, which in turn gives us access to the pallets. Remove the pallets. Turn the movement over, take off the keyless cover and remove the minute wheel. Flip it back over and refit the balance. I can then open up the barrel and remove the barrel arbor. my next task is probably the most tedious for this watch, and it's removing the Inca block jewels. In order to remove the jewel, I have to twist it 90 degrees in order for it to slide out from its housing. And this watch has a second part to the Inca block that would typically be fixed to the balance cock, but this is instead a little spring system. And the second jewel is also removed from the other side in the base plate. This one's a lot easier to remove as the jewel is fixed onto a plate which is held down by a single screw. And that is all for the strip down of this Rolex. The next thing I'll do is put it through a watch cleaning machine. The machine I use is a super automatic. And whilst that is cleaning, I turn my attention to the case, which could do with a little polish. I remove both the leather straps from the case before going to my jeweler's bench to give the case a quick polish with a wall, wheel and rouge. And now that the Rolex has finished in the machine, I can start reassembling. I typically start by greasing the keyless area, and pretty simple, if there is any metal rubbing against metal, it'll more than likely require greasing. Once greased, I go about removing the balance. And then reassembling the train wheels. First I'll apply some grease in the center hole for the center wheel, and then place the wheels accordingly before placing the train bridge. It can sometimes be a fiddle to get all the pivots aligned with their jewels, but with a little tweaking they all fit into place and I can tighten down the bridge. Once the bridge is screwed down, I oil the jewels. And then I go about making the barrel, and as I said earlier, the mainspring was replaced and it is still in good condition, so no need to make any changes. Once the barrel is made up, I place some grease in the hole for the barrel and then slide it into place. And then grease the bridge before fitting it over the barrel. Once screwed down, I take this crown wheel spacer, fit it, grease it, and then fit the crown wheel. Once the crown wheel is in, I grease the grooves and fit the crown wheel cover. Before then fitting the ratchet wheel. and as you can see, the power runs nice and smoothly through the train, which means we can go about fitting the pallets which controls and releases power coming through the train. Once in place, I oil the dual faces of the pallets, which in turn will oil the teeth of the escape wheel. And then go about fitting the balance cock. I'll then oil the inkbot jewels, and though it's a little hard to see, there is just a tiny blob in the middle. I'll then fit this into the base plate and move on to the balance cock jewel. I also decide to cut the power to make life a little easier, and then place the coil part of the inker block before oiling the second part and fitting it in place. With everything ticking nicely, I turn it over to the dial side, remove the keyless cover, grease all the posts and fit the remaining wheels, starting with the cannon pinion, then the minute wheel, and then finally the hour wheel. I also refit the dial spacer before loosening the dial screws in order to fit the dial and retighten them. With the dial on, I can then fit the hands. The small second is fitted first, and then the hour wheel. Once the hour wheel is in, I set it to exactly 12, and then place the minute hand directly over it. I can then rebuild the case that has been repolished, remove the stem and crown in order to refit the movement, and then secure it all in place with the movement screws and refitting the crown. I can then snap on the case back and then turn it over, give the dial a few puffs with a puffer to remove any hairs and dust, and then fit the bezel and glass. The only stage left to do now is to refit the leather strap. Once the strap is back on, the service is complete. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe learned a thing or two as well. And that's all I have for today, so I'll see you next time.